7-year-old Emma sat on the bathroom floor, her small hands trembling as she clutched her mother's phone. She could hear him downstairs. Her stepfather. Shouting. Breaking things. The sound of her mother crying, begging him to stop. And then the crash. The terrible crack. And her mother's scream. Emma knew what that sound meant. She'd heard it before when her friend broke her wrist falling off the monkey bars at school. He'd broken something. Hurt Mum again. Emma's fingers flew across the phone screen. She needed to text Aunt Sarah. Aunt Sarah would know what to do. Aunt Sarah would come help. But Emma was 7. And scared. And shaking so hard she could barely see the screen. She pulled up what she thought was Aunt Sarah's contact. And she typed, "Aunt Sarah, he broke Mum's arm, please come quick, he's really mad." She hit send. Downstairs, the shouting continued. Emma waited. Staring at the screen. Waiting for the 3 dots that meant Aunt Sarah was typing back. Instead, what she got was a message that would change everything. A message from a number she didn't recognize. A message that said, "I'm on my way. Stay hidden. Don't make a sound. I'll handle this." Emma stared at the words, confused. That didn't sound like Aunt Sarah. But before she could figure out what to do, another message came through. "How badly is she hurt? Is she breathing? Are you safe?" These weren't Aunt Sarah's words. Aunt Sarah would have asked where they were, called the police, maybe panicked a little. This person, whoever they were, sounded calm. Controlled. Almost dangerous. Emma's small fingers typed back, "Who is this? I need my Aunt Sarah." The response was immediate, "You texted the wrong number, little one. But that's all right. I'm closer than your aunt. And I promise you, he will never hurt your mother again." Something about those words made Emma feel safer than she had in months. She didn't know who this stranger was. Didn't know how they could possibly help. But something in her 7-year-old heart told her to trust them. So she typed, "We're at 47 Maple Street. Upstairs bathroom. Please hurry." The response came instantly, "Lock the door. Don't open it for anyone but me. I'll knock 3 times, pause, then twice more. Understand?" Emma typed back, "Yes." And then she locked the bathroom door and waited. She had no idea that 15 miles away, in a mansion that overlooked the city, the most dangerous man in the region had just stood up from his desk. That Dante Moretti, known in certain circles as the Vampire King, the most feared crime lord in 3 states, had just cancelled every meeting for the night. That he was already walking toward his car with a look on his face that made his bodyguard step aside without a word. That a little girl's desperate text to the wrong number had just triggered a chain of events that would end very badly for one man. And very, very well for a mother and daughter who'd been suffering in silence for far too long. Now, before I tell you what happens next, I need to ask you something. Where are you right now? What city? What country? What time is it where you are? Drop it in the comments below, because this story is about what happens when innocence accidentally reaches out to darkness, and darkness decides to protect it. Subscribe to this channel if you love stories where bad men meet worse men. Like this video. Share it. Turn on notifications, because this is going to be a ride you won't want to miss. Dante Moretti wasn't actually a vampire. But if you were on the wrong side of him, you might wish he was. At least then you'd have rules to follow. Garlic. Crosses. Sunlight. With Dante, there were no rules. No weaknesses. No mercy for those who preyed on the innocent. He'd built his empire over 15 years, starting from nothing. The son of Italian immigrants who died when he was 12, leaving him alone on the streets. He'd survived by being smarter, faster, and more ruthless than everyone else. By the time he was 35, he controlled half the city's underworld. Casinos, clubs, protection rackets, import-export businesses that were mostly legal and occasionally very illegal. The police couldn't touch him. He was too careful. Too connected. Too rich. Politicians either worked for him or stayed out of his way. Other crime families respected him. Or feared him. Usually both. But Dante had rules. His own code. No drugs that destroyed lives, cocaine, heroin, meth were forbidden in his operations. No human trafficking. Anyone caught selling people in his territory disappeared and was never found. No harming women or children. Ever. For any reason. That last rule wasn't negotiable. It wasn't business. It was personal. Because Dante had watched his mother die at the hands of his father's fists when he was 11. Had hidden under the bed while his father beat her to death in a drunken rage. Had sworn on her grave that he would never let it happen to anyone else if he had the power to stop it. And now, sitting in the back of his black Mercedes as his driver raced through the city streets, Dante read the text messages from a little girl named Emma again. He broke Mum's arm. Please hurry. His jaw clenched. His hands formed fists. His phone buzzed. A message from Marco, his second-in-command. Boss, what's the situation? You need backup? Dante typed back, domestic violence. 47 Maple Street. I'm handling it personally. Send a medical team discreetly. And have someone find out everything about whoever lives at that address. Marco responded immediately, on it. ETA on medical team is 20 minutes. Information coming. 15 minutes later, Dante's phone buzzed with details. Property owned by Sarah Mitchell, age 34. Single mother. Works as a nurse at City General Hospital. Daughter, Emma Mitchell, age 7. Current occupant, Ryan Fletcher, age 38. Moved in 6 months ago. Sarah's boyfriend. 2 prior arrests for assault. 1 conviction, served 8 months. Currently on probation. Dante's blood ran cold. A violent man. Living with a single mother and her daughter. On probation, which meant if he violated it, he'd go back to prison. Which meant he had nothing to lose. Which made him even more dangerous. The car pulled up 2 houses down from 47 Maple Street. Dante could see lights on inside. Could hear, faintly, the sound of shouting. He stepped out of the car. Straightened his suit jacket. Checked the knife concealed in his sleeve. And walked toward the house like he owned it. Because in this city, in this moment, he did. Emma heard the car pull up outside. From her position on the bathroom floor, she couldn't see the street. But she heard the engine, the car door closing, the footsteps on the sidewalk. Heavy footsteps. Confident. Her heart hammered in her small chest. Downstairs, her stepfather was still raging. She could hear her mother's quiet sobbing. The sound of furniture being shoved around. Then the doorbell rang. The shouting stopped. Who the hell is that? She heard Ryan snarl. I don't know, her mother said, her voice trembling. Maybe a neighbor. Get rid of them. Emma heard footsteps moving toward the front door. Her mother's footsteps. Slow. Painful. Then she heard the door open. And a voice. Deep. Calm. Terrifyingly controlled. Mrs. Mitchell? I'm here about your arm. A pause. I don't understand. Who are you? Someone your daughter contacted. May I come in? Sarah, who is it? Ryan's voice, closer now. Aggressive. I don't know, he says. I said, may I come in? The stranger's voice hadn't changed. Still calm. Still polite. But there was something underneath it now. Something that made Emma shiver even though she was upstairs and behind a locked door. Look, buddy, I don't know who you are, but you need to leave. Now. That was Ryan. Trying to sound tough. But Emma could hear the uncertainty in his voice. I'm afraid I can't do that. The stranger again. You see, a little girl texted me. Told me you broke her mother's arm. And I have a very strict policy about men who hurt women and children. Silence. Then, I don't know what you're talking about. Everything's fine here. Sarah, close the door. I don't think she can close the door, the stranger said. Not with a broken arm. That's quite painful, you know. The radius and ulna fracturing. The nerves screaming. The bone trying to pierce through skin. Another pause. Who the fuck are you? Someone you should have prayed you'd never meet. And then Emma heard it. Footsteps. Heavy. Moving into the house uninvited. The sound of Ryan backing up. You can't just walk in here. I'll call the cops. Go ahead. The stranger's voice was closer now. Call them. Tell them Dante Moretti is here. See what they say. Emma heard her mother gasp. Heard Ryan curse. Apparently that name meant something to adults. Something scary. Now, the stranger, Dante, continued, we're going to handle this very simply. You're going to sit down in that chair and not move while I check on Mrs. Mitchell's injury. And then you and I are going to have a conversation about your future. Or lack thereof. Fuck you. This is my house. The sound that followed was quick. A scuffle. A thud. And then Ryan screaming. Dante's voice, still calm, that was your knee. Try to stand up again and it'll be the other one. Sit. Down. Footsteps again. Coming up the stairs. Emma's breath caught. 3 knocks on the bathroom door. Pause. 2 more knocks. Emma? It's safe to open the door now, little one. Emma's hand shook as she unlocked the door and turned the handle. The man standing in the hallway was not what she expected. He was tall. Very tall. Dressed in an expensive-looking black suit. Dark hair swept back from a face that was handsome but hard. Eyes that should have been scary but somehow weren't when they looked at her. He knelt down so he was at her eye level. Hello, Emma. I'm Dante. Are you hurt? She shook her head. Good. Your mother is downstairs. Her arm is broken, like you said. But I have doctors coming to help her. Can you show me where she is? Emma nodded and took his offered hand. His hand was warm. Strong. And when she held it, she felt safer than she'd felt in 6 months. Together, they walked downstairs to face the monster who'd been tormenting her family. And Emma realized that sometimes, the scariest monsters were the ones who protected you from other monsters. Ryan Fletcher had made many bad decisions in his 38 years. Getting arrested for assault. Moving in with Sarah without telling her about his violent past. Hitting her the first time 3 months ago when she questioned where he'd been all night. But none of those mistakes compared to what he'd done tonight. Hitting her in front of Emma. Breaking her arm. And not realizing that the little girl had access to a phone. Now he sat in his own living room chair, his knee screaming in pain where this stranger, this Dante Moretti, had done something that made it crumple like paper. And he watched as the man gently examined Sarah's arm. It's definitely broken, Dante said quietly. The radius, probably the ulna as well. You're going to need surgery, Mrs. Mitchell. Pins, most likely. But the doctors I've called are excellent. They'll take care of you. Sarah was crying. Not from pain, though Emma could see her mom's arm was swelling, turning purple, but from something else. Relief, maybe. Or disbelief. I don't understand, Sarah whispered. Why are you helping us? Dante glanced at Emma, who was standing close to him, still holding his hand. Your daughter sent me a text. Wrong number. But the right person to receive it. I don't have money to pay you. I can't. I don't want money. Dante's voice was firm. I want you and Emma to be safe. That's payment enough. Who are you? Sarah asked, though her eyes suggested she already knew. Or at least suspected. Someone who doesn't tolerate men like him. Dante tilted his head toward Ryan, who'd been silent since his knee was destroyed. Someone who believes that hitting a woman makes you less than human. And someone who has the resources to make sure it never happens again. Ryan found his voice. You can't just come in here and... I already did. Dante didn't even look at him. And now I'm going to give you a choice. 2 options. Choose wisely, because you don't get a third. Fuck your options. Dante moved so fast Emma barely saw it. One moment he was kneeling beside her mother. The next he had Ryan by the throat, lifting him one-handed out of the chair. Option 1, Dante said, his voice dropping to something that made Emma's skin prickle. You leave. Tonight. You pack a bag with whatever fits in it and you walk out that door. You never contact Sarah again. You never come near Emma again. You disappear from their lives completely. If I ever hear that you've so much as driven past this street, you'll wish I'd chosen option 2. He dropped Ryan back into the chair. Ryan gasped for air. What's option 2? Sarah asked quietly. Dante looked at her. His expression softened slightly. Option 2 is for people who don't choose option 1. And it's not something I discuss in front of children. The implication was clear enough that even Emma understood it. Ryan would disappear. Permanently. Before we continue this story, I need to pause and ask, where are you right now? What city are you in? What time is it? Drop your location and time in the comments. And if you're invested in seeing what happens to Ryan, subscribe to this channel. Like this video. Share it with someone who loves dark romance with a protective twist. Turn on notifications, because what happens next is where the story really begins. Ryan Fletcher wasn't stupid. He was violent. Controlling. A coward who only felt powerful when he was hurting someone weaker than himself. But he wasn't stupid enough to misunderstand what Dante Moretti was offering him. Leave voluntarily and live. Or resist and die. He looked at Sarah, hoping to see some sign that she'd defend him. Tell this psycho to leave. Call the actual police. But Sarah was looking at Dante with something that made Ryan's stomach turn. Hope. She was hoping he'd pick option 2. Hoping this stranger would make Ryan disappear. Fine, Ryan spat. I'll go. But this isn't over. I'll come back with cops. No, you won't. Dante's voice was matter-of-fact. Because the moment you contact the police, I'll have to explain to them about your probation violation. About how you assaulted Mrs. Mitchell tonight. About the restraining order she's going to file tomorrow morning. Ryan's blood ran cold. What restraining order? The one my lawyers are preparing right now. Along with assault charges. Breaking and entering charges, yes, this house is in Sarah's name, not yours. You're just a guest who overstayed his welcome and became violent. You can't. I can. And I have security camera footage from the house across the street that my people are retrieving as we speak. Footage that shows you throwing Sarah against the wall. Breaking her arm. It's all very clear. Ryan stared at him. That house doesn't have cameras. It does now. I had them installed while I was driving here. My people are very efficient. It was a bluff. It had to be. Nobody worked that fast. But looking into Dante Moretti's eyes, Ryan realized this man didn't need to bluff. He had enough real power that lies were unnecessary. So here's what's going to happen, Dante continued. You're going to go upstairs. You're going to pack one bag. You're going to come back down, walk out that door, and never return. My people will escort you to a bus station. You'll get on a bus heading out of state. And you'll start a new life somewhere very far from here. And if I don't? Dante smiled. It wasn't a nice smile. Then Emma will go back upstairs, and you and I will discuss option 2 in detail. The little girl in question was still holding Dante's hand, looking up at Ryan with wide eyes. Eyes that no longer held fear. Just curiosity about what would happen next. That, more than anything, broke Ryan's nerve. Even the kid wasn't scared of him anymore. Fuck this, he muttered, standing up on his one good leg. I'm gone. Excellent choice, Dante said. 30 minutes. Then my people come get you whether you're packed or not. Ryan limped toward the stairs, shooting one last glare at Sarah. You'll regret this. No, Sarah said quietly. I really won't. 20 minutes later, a discreet black van pulled up outside 47 Maple Street. 3 people got out. 2 men and 1 woman, all wearing professional medical scrubs. They carried equipment bags that looked expensive and official. Emma watched from the window as they walked up to the house. They didn't rush. Didn't draw attention. Just looked like medical professionals making a house call. Which, Emma supposed, they were. Just not the kind most people were used to. Dante opened the door before they could knock. Status? The woman asked. She had kind eyes and gray streaks in her dark hair. Broken radius and ulna, right arm. Significant swelling. Patient is conscious and coherent. No other visible injuries, but she may have bruised ribs from being thrown against the wall. The woman nodded and moved to where Sarah sat on the couch. Hello, Mrs. Mitchell. I'm Dr. Rossi. I'm going to examine you and then we'll get you to a proper facility for treatment. Okay? Sarah nodded, too overwhelmed to speak. While Dr. Rossi worked, one of the men approached Dante and whispered something in his ear. Dante's expression darkened. He glanced upstairs where Ryan was presumably still packing, then nodded. The man disappeared back outside. Emma tugged on Dante's sleeve. When he looked down at her, she whispered, Is Mummy going to be okay? She's going to be fine, little one. Dr. Rossi is one of the best orthopedic surgeons in the country. Your mother will need surgery, but she'll heal. Will it hurt? They'll make sure she doesn't feel any pain during the surgery. And after, they'll give her medicine to help. Will she come home? She'll need to stay in the hospital for a day or 2. But yes, she'll come home. And when she does, he won't be here anymore. You'll both be safe. Emma looked up at this strange, scary, wonderful man who'd appeared in her life like a guardian angel. Promise? Dante knelt down again. I promise. And I keep my promises, Emma. Footsteps on the stairs made them both look up. Ryan was limping down, a duffel bag in one hand, his face twisted in pain and rage. I'm going, he snarled. Happy? Ecstatic, Dante said dryly. Marco will escort you to the bus station. Have a nice life, Mr. Fletcher. And remember, if you ever come back here, option 2 is still available. Ryan didn't respond. Just limped out the door where one of Dante's men was waiting by a black car. Emma watched through the window as the car drove away. And just like that, the monster who'd made her life hell for 6 months was gone. She started crying. Not sad crying. Relief crying. Big, gulping sobs that made her whole body shake. Sarah tried to get up to comfort her, but Dr. Rossi gently stopped her. "Stay still, please." Instead, Dante scooped Emma up in his arms. Held her while she cried. Patted her back and made soothing sounds. "It's all right, little one. It's over. You're safe now. Your mother's safe now." Emma buried her face in his shoulder and cried until she had no tears left. And Dante just held her, this crime lord who'd killed men without hesitation, who ruled the underworld with an iron fist, who made grown men tremble with fear. Holding a 7-year-old girl and promising her she'd never be hurt again. Dr. Rossi wanted Sarah to go to a private hospital immediately. "The bone needs to be set properly, and the sooner we do surgery, the better the outcome," she explained. "I've already arranged for a room. We'll use a side entrance, no paperwork until after the procedure. No one will know you're there except my team." Sarah hesitated. "I can't afford a private hospital. I barely make rent." "You're not paying," Dante interrupted. "Consider it handled." "I can't accept. Mrs. Mitchell." Dante's voice was gentle but firm. "You can accept help, or you can refuse it and heal incorrectly. Your choice. But Emma needs her mother healthy and whole. Don't let pride get in the way of that." Sarah's eyes filled with tears again. "Why are you doing this? You don't even know us." "Because someone should have helped my mother when she needed it," Dante said quietly. "And no one did. I won't make that mistake with you." Something in his tone suggested there was a story there. A painful one. But before Sarah could ask, Dr. Rossi was directing her team to prepare for transport. "What about Emma?" Sarah asked. "She can't come to the hospital at this hour." "I'll stay with her," Dante said. "She can sleep in the guest room at my house. You have my word she'll be completely safe." Sarah looked at Emma, who was still clinging to Dante's hand. "Do you want to go with Dante, sweetie? While Mummy goes to the doctor?" Emma nodded. "Will you come back?" "I'll come back tomorrow," Sarah promised. "I'll be all fixed up and we can go home together." Emma thought about this. Then looked up at Dante. "Do you have food at your house?" Despite everything, Dante smiled. "I have whatever food you want. What would you like? Pizza? I know an excellent pizza place that delivers even at." He checked his watch, 10:30 at night. "And ice cream?" "Several flavors." Emma nodded decisively. "Okay. I'll go with you." Sarah laughed, then winced as it jostled her arm. "That's my girl. Always negotiating for food." 15 minutes later, Sarah was in the medical van heading to the hospital with Dr. Rossi. And Emma was in the back of Dante's Mercedes, riding through the city toward a house she couldn't even imagine. As they drove, Emma's phone, which she still had, buzzed. A text from her actual Aunt Sarah. "Hey sweetie. Sorry I missed your text earlier. My phone died. Is everything okay? Do you guys still want to come to brunch on Sunday?" Emma stared at the message. Her text hadn't gone to Aunt Sarah at all. Had gone to a complete stranger. A stranger who'd dropped everything to save her and her mother. She looked at Dante, who was responding to messages on his own phone, his face illuminated by the screen glow. "Mr. Dante," she said quietly. "Just Dante is fine. What would have happened if my text did go to Aunt Sarah?" Dante looked at her. "She probably would have called the police. And they would have come, eventually. And your stepfather might have been arrested. Or he might have talked his way out of it. It's hard to say. But you came right away. I did. Why? Dante was quiet for a moment. Because a long time ago, someone I loved needed help and no one came. I decided then that if I ever had the power to help someone in that situation, I would. No matter what. The someone you loved, was it your mummy? Dante's jaw tightened. Yes. Did someone hurt her? Yes. Did she get better? No, little one. She didn't. Emma processed this. Is that why you got so angry at Ryan? Part of it. But I would have been angry regardless. Men who hurt women and children make me very, very angry. Emma nodded. That made sense to her. They pulled up to iron gates that opened automatically. Beyond them was a driveway that seemed to go on forever, lined with trees and lights. And at the end of it, a house that looked like a palace. Emma's eyes went wide. You live here? I do. It's a bit much, I know. But it's comfortable. A bit much was an understatement. The house, mansion, was 3 stories of stone and glass, with columns and balconies and what looked like a fountain in the courtyard. Whoa, Emma breathed. Dante smiled. Come on. Let's get you that pizza. The inside of Dante's house was even more impressive than the outside. Marble floors. Crystal chandeliers. Artwork that Emma was too young to recognize as being worth millions. Furniture that looked like it belonged in a museum. But what caught Emma's attention was the grand staircase that curved up to the 2nd floor, and the enormous living room with a TV bigger than any she'd ever seen. Are you a prince? She asked seriously. Dante laughed, a real laugh, not the scary controlled one from earlier. No. Just someone who likes nice things. A woman appeared from a side hallway. She was older, maybe 60, with silver hair pulled into a bun. She wore a simple black dress and had the kind of face that looked like it smiled often. Mr. Moretti, she said with a slight accent Emma thought might be Italian. I wasn't expecting you home with company. Maria, this is Emma. She'll be staying in the blue guest room tonight. Emma, this is Maria. She manages my house and makes the best lasagna in the world. Maria's eyes widened slightly as she took in Emma's appearance. Rumpled clothes, red-rimmed eyes from crying, small hands still clutching Dante's. To her credit, she didn't ask questions. Just smiled warmly. Hello, Emma. Have you eaten dinner? We're ordering pizza, Dante said. But maybe some cookies and milk while we wait? Of course. I'll bring them to the living room. Maria disappeared, and Dante led Emma to a living room that was somehow both incredibly fancy and surprisingly comfortable. He sat her on a couch that was probably more expensive than Emma's entire house, turned on the massive TV, and pulled up a streaming service. What do you like to watch? Emma shrugged. At home, she only got to watch TV when Ryan wasn't around. He always wanted sports or violent movies. Have you seen The Princess Bride? She shook her head. Perfect. You'll love it. As the movie started, Maria appeared with cookies, still warm from the oven, somehow. And milk in a glass that looked like real crystal. Emma nibbled a cookie. It was delicious. Better than any cookie she'd had before. The movie was good too. Funny and exciting, and the princess was smart. About 20 minutes in, there was a knock at the front door. Dante paused the movie. That'll be the pizza. I'll be right back. He returned a moment later with 2 pizza boxes. I got half pepperoni, half cheese. Wasn't sure which you'd like. Both, Emma said decisively. They ate pizza and watched the movie. Dante explained parts Emma didn't understand and laughed at the funny parts. It was the most normal Emma had felt in months. After the movie, Emma yawned so widely her jaw cracked. "Bedtime," Dante said. "Come on, I'll show you the guest room." The blue guest room was on the second floor. It had its own bathroom, a bed big enough for 4 people, and windows that looked out over the grounds. Maria had already laid out fresh towels and pajamas. Children's pajamas, which seemed impossible given that Dante didn't have kids. "Where did the pajamas come from?" Emma asked. "I sent someone to buy them while we were watching the movie," Dante said simply. "Do they fit?" Emma held them up. "They looked about right. Tomorrow we'll get you proper clothes and anything else you need. But for tonight, this should work." Emma changed in the bathroom and climbed into the enormous bed. Dante pulled the covers up to her chin. "If you need anything, press this button." He showed her an intercom on the bedside table. "It'll call Maria. I'll be in my office downstairs working, but Maria's room is just down the hall." "Dante?" "Yes?" "Thank you. For saving us." His expression softened. "You're welcome, Emma. Sleep well." He turned off the light and started to leave. "Dante?" she called again. He paused in the doorway. "Yes? Will you really keep us safe? Ryan said he'd come back. He always says that." Dante walked back to the bed. Sat down on the edge. "Emma, I want you to understand something. Ryan Fletcher will never come near you or your mother again. Ever. Do you know why?" She shook her head. "Because men like him are cowards. They pick on people who can't fight back. But now he knows that if he comes back, he'll have to deal with me. And I'm not someone he can intimidate or hurt. I'm someone who'll make him regret ever being born. He knows that now. And cowards like him don't take risks like that. But what if he forgets? What if he gets brave? Then I'll remind him. And Emma? I keep my promises. I promised you'd be safe. You are safe. Both of you. Forever." Emma studied his face in the dim light from the hallway. She was only 7, but she knew truth when she heard it. "Okay," she said. "I believe you. Good girl. Now sleep. Tomorrow your mother will be better and we'll all have breakfast together." He left, closing the door softly behind him. Emma snuggled into the softest bed she'd ever felt in the biggest, most beautiful room she'd ever seen. And for the first time in 6 months, she fell asleep feeling completely safe. Downstairs in his office, Dante poured himself a scotch and settled behind his desk. His phone rang. "Marco. Boss, Fletcher's on the bus to Nevada. He won't be back." "Good. Put a trace on him anyway. If he so much as searches for flights back to this state, I want to know." "Done." Also, the security team swept Mitchell's house. No hidden cameras or anything else Fletcher might have planted. The place is clean. What about her finances? She's drowning. 3 months behind on rent. Maxed out credit cards, probably from Fletcher's spending. Works double shifts at the hospital but it's barely enough. Dante was silent for a moment. Handle it. Pay off the rent, the credit cards, everything. Set up a trust that covers her mortgage for the next 5 years. Make it look like it came from a victim's assistance program, not from me. Got it. Also, the lawyer finished the restraining order paperwork. And we have enough evidence to press charges if she wants. Let her decide that tomorrow. She's been through enough tonight. One more thing, boss. Dr. Rossi called. Surgery went well. Mitchell should make a full recovery. She'll be ready for discharge tomorrow afternoon. Excellent. Have someone prepare the safe house on. Actually, boss, I was thinking about that. If she goes back to her own place, she'll just be reminded of Fletcher every time she walks in. Bad memories in every room. And the neighbors all saw the fights. She'll get looks, questions. Dante saw where Marco was going. You're suggesting? The building we just renovated on Rosewood? The one with the secured entrance? We've got a ground floor unit that's move-in ready. 2 bedrooms, modern kitchen, good school district for the kid. We could offer it to her at a rate she can actually afford. Dante smiled. You're getting soft in your old age, Marco. Hey, I liked the kid. She's got guts. And the mother seems decent. Plus, having tenants who appreciate the protection doesn't hurt our reputation. Fine. Set it up. But don't make it obvious. I don't want Mitchell feeling like charity. Understood. They hung up. Dante sat back. Continue 11:25 Amin his chair, swirling the scotch. His phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. Thank you for the pizza and the movie. The cookies were really good too. Good night. Dante stared at it. Then he realized, Emma must have taken his number from the text thread earlier. He smiled and typed back, You're welcome, little one. Sleep well. See you in the morning. Her response came immediately, Okay. You're my hero now. Like the man in black from the movie. Dante laughed out loud. When was the last time someone had called him a hero? Never, that's when. Get some sleep, Princess Buttercup. Okay. Night-night. Dante set down his phone and stared out the window at his estate grounds. He'd built an empire on fear and violence. Had done things that would horrify most people. Had blood on his hands that would never wash clean. But tonight, he'd saved a little girl and her mother from a monster far more mundane than himself. And somehow, that felt more important than any business deal or territory expansion he'd ever accomplished. His phone buzzed again. Another message. He picked it up, expecting another text from Emma. Instead, it was from a number he hadn't seen in 5 years. A number he'd hoped never to see again. The message was simple, I know what you did tonight. We need to talk. Dante's blood ran cold. Someone had been watching. And that meant trouble was coming. Before I tell you who sent that message and what happens next, I need to pause again. Where are you listening from? What time is it? Are you invested in Emma and Sarah's safety? Drop your location in the comments. Subscribe if you haven't already. Like this video. Share it. Turn on notifications. Because what comes next is where the real danger begins. Not from Ryan, but from someone far more dangerous who has their own plans for the Vampire King. The number belonged to Detective Kate Morrison. 5 years ago, she'd been the lead investigator on a task force trying to take down Dante's organization. She'd been relentless, brilliant, and absolutely certain he was guilty of crimes ranging from money laundering to murder. She'd also been the closest anyone had ever come to actually building a case against him. Until the case fell apart. Witnesses recanted. Evidence disappeared. Her partner turned up dead, officially a suicide, though Kate never believed it. The task force was dissolved. Kate was reassigned to a desk job. And Dante had walked away free. They hadn't spoken since. Now she was reaching out. And she knew about tonight. Dante considered ignoring the message. Considered having Marco handle it. But Kate Morrison wasn't someone you sent a subordinate to deal with. If she wanted to talk, there was a reason. And ignoring her would only make her dig harder. He typed back, tomorrow. Noon. The usual place. Her response was immediate, I'll be there. Come alone. Dante smiled grimly. Kate still thought she was in a position to give him orders. But he'd play along. For now. He finished his scotch and headed upstairs to check on Emma one more time. She was fast asleep, curled up in the center of the giant bed, one small hand tucked under her cheek. Dante stood in the doorway for a moment, watching her breathe. This little girl had accidentally texted him. One wrong number. One coincidence. And now her life was tangled up with his. He should probably feel guilty about that. Should probably worry about what kind of influence a crime lord would be on a 7-year-old child. But looking at her peaceful face, all he felt was a fierce determination to keep her and her mother safe. Whatever it took. Whoever got in the way. Even if that person was Detective Kate Morrison. Emma woke up confused. This wasn't her bed. This wasn't her room. Where was? Then she remembered. Ryan. The broken arm. The stranger who'd come to save them. The mansion. Dante. She sat up and looked around the blue guest room in daylight. It was even prettier than it had been last night, with sunshine streaming through the windows and dust motes dancing in the beams. Someone had laid out new clothes on the chair by the bed. Jeans in her size, a soft purple sweater, new socks and underwear. Emma got dressed and ventured out into the hallway. The mansion was quieter in the morning. She could hear distant sounds, someone cooking, maybe, but no voices. She found her way back to the grand staircase and crept down, feeling very small in this very big house. Maria appeared from the kitchen. Good morning, Emma. Did you sleep well? Emma nodded. Come, come. Breakfast is ready. Mr. Moretti is already eating. She followed Maria to a dining room that had a table long enough to seat 20 people. Dante sat at one end, reading a newspaper, a cup of coffee at his elbow. He looked up when Emma entered and smiled. Good morning. How did you sleep? Good. The bed was really soft. I'm glad. Come sit. Maria made pancakes. Emma climbed into the chair next to Dante's. Maria appeared with a plate stacked with pancakes, a side of bacon, and fresh fruit. Thank you, Emma said politely. You're very welcome, Piccola. Maria poured her a glass of orange juice and disappeared back into the kitchen. They ate in comfortable silence for a few minutes. Then Emma asked, Is Mummy okay? I called the hospital this morning. The surgery went perfectly. She's awake and asking about you. We'll go visit her after breakfast. And then we can go home. Dante set down his coffee cup. Actually, I wanted to talk to you about that. Your house, the one you lived in with your mother and Ryan. Do you like it there? Emma thought about it. Not really. Ryan was always there. And the walls are thin so I could hear when he was mean to Mummy. What if I told you there was a different place you could live? A new apartment. Nicer. Safer. Would you like that? Would Mummy like it? I think she would. But we should ask her together. What do you think? Emma considered this. Is it far from my school? Actually, it's closer. You could walk there if your mother said it was okay. And Ryan doesn't know where it is? Ryan will never know where it is. I promise. Emma nodded decisively. Then I think we should ask Mummy. Good. We'll visit her this morning and show her the photos. After breakfast, Dante's driver took them to the hospital where Sarah was recovering. She was in a private room on a quiet floor. Her right arm was in a cast, and she looked pale and tired, but she smiled when Emma ran in. Baby. Come here, careful of Mummy's arm. Emma climbed carefully onto the bed and hugged her mother's good side. Are you okay? Emma asked. I'm much better now that you're here. Did you behave for Dante? She was perfect, Dante said from the doorway. And she negotiated excellent terms for her stay, pizza, cookies, and a princess movie. Sarah laughed. That sounds like my Emma. Thank you, Dante. For everything. I don't know how to. You don't have to thank me. But I do need to discuss some things with you. Practical matters. He explained about the apartment. About how her current place held too many bad memories. About how this new place was in a building he owned, in a better neighborhood, with better security. I can't afford, Sarah started. The rent will be the same as you're paying now. I'm not asking you to pay more. Just to move somewhere safer. Somewhere Emma can play outside without you worrying. Sarah's eyes filled with tears. Why are you doing all this? Dante's expression softened. Because someone should have done it for my mother. And because that little girl accidentally sent me a text message, and I decided I was going to make sure she never had to send another one like it. That includes making sure you both have a safe place to live. Sarah looked at Emma, who nodded encouragingly. Okay, Sarah whispered. Okay. We'll move. Dante smiled. Good. I'll have my people start the arrangements. You'll be discharged tomorrow. By the time you're ready to leave the hospital, the new apartment will be ready for you to move into. How is that possible? I have very efficient people. What Sarah didn't know, what Dante didn't tell her, was that at that very moment, a team of movers was packing up her old apartment. That everything she owned would be carefully transferred to the new place. That her old landlord was being paid off to break the lease with no penalties. That by tomorrow afternoon, it would be as if she'd never lived in that house of horrors at all. At noon, Dante walked into the small cafe on the east side of town. It was the kind of place cops frequented, cheap coffee, decent sandwiches, and a clientele that minded their own business. Detective Kate Morrison sat in a booth at the back, nursing a cup of black coffee. You said we needed to talk. So talk. She took a sip of coffee. I know about last night. 47 Maple Street. Ryan Fletcher. The little girl. Dante's expression didn't change. I helped a domestic violence victim. Since when is that a crime? Since you did it by threatening a man's life. Since you extracted him from the city against his will. Since you performed medical treatment without proper licensing. I'm not a doctor. Dr. Rossi is. And she's properly licensed. Dar. Rossi works for you. Dr. Rossi works for herself. She also does pro bono work for victims of violence. Ask her yourself. Kate's jaw tightened. I did. She told me to fuck off. Politely, but still. Despite himself, Dante smiled. That sounds like her. This isn't funny, Dante. You can't just. Can't what? Help people? Protect children? Stop violent criminals? That's our job. Then do it. The force in Dante's voice made several nearby patrons look over. He lowered his tone. Do your job, Kate. Arrest men like Ryan Fletcher before they break their girlfriend's arms in front of 7-year-old children. Build cases that actually stick. Protect the vulnerable instead of letting them suffer while you build perfect prosecutions that never happen. Kate's face flushed. You think I don't want to? You think I don't try? I think the system is broken. I think by the time you get there, it's usually too late. I think that little girl sent me a text by accident and I got there in under 20 minutes while the cops wouldn't have shown up for an hour minimum. If they showed up at all. We can't just. I'm not having this argument again. Dante leaned back. You asked me here for a reason. If it was just to lecture me about helping people, you wasted your time and mine. So what do you really want, Kate? She was quiet for a long moment. Then, I want to know your endgame. My endgame? With the girl. With the mother. You don't do anything without a reason. So what's the angle here? Are you grooming them? Using them for something? Dante felt his temper flare but kept it controlled. You think I'm a monster. I get it. And maybe I am. But I don't prey on children, Kate. I never have. I never will. That's a line I don't cross. Then why? Why get involved? Dante looked out the cafe window at the city beyond. Because when I was 12 years old, my father beat my mother to death in our living room. And I hid under the bed and did nothing because I was scared. And when I finally came out, she was dead and he was gone. And nobody came. Not the neighbors who must have heard her screaming. Not the cops who'd been called to our house a dozen times before. Nobody. He looked back at Kate. I made myself a promise that day. If I ever had the power to stop something like that from happening to someone else, I would. No matter what. So when a 7-year-old girl sent me a text saying her stepfather broke her mother's arm, I went. And I stopped him. And I made sure they'll never have to be afraid again. That's my endgame, Kate. That's the whole story. Kate stared at him. I didn't know about your mother. I don't advertise it. I'm sorry. Don't be. Just understand that while I'm not a good man by most definitions, I'm not the kind of monster who would hurt a child. Or use one. Emma is safe with me. So is Sarah. And if Fletcher ever comes back, he'll disappear. Permanently. You can quote me on that. Kate sighed. I can't just ignore this. Then don't. But don't interfere either. Because if you start digging into this, if you scare Sarah into thinking she did something wrong by accepting help, if you make that little girl's life harder, you and I are going to have a problem. And trust me, Kate, you don't want that problem. Is that a threat? It's a fact. I'm helping people. If you try to stop me, you're part of the problem, not the solution. Choose your battles wisely. Dante stood up. We done here? Kate nodded reluctantly. For now. Good. Give my regards to your captain. He walked out of the cafe without looking back. Behind him, Kate Morrison sat alone with her coffee, wondering if she'd just made the biggest mistake of her career. Or the smartest decision. The next afternoon, Sarah was discharged from the hospital. Emma had stayed another night at Dante's mansion, which she'd loved, especially when Maria let her help make cookies, and now they were all in Dante's car, heading to the new apartment. Sarah was nervous. She'd been warned the rent was the same as her old place, but she was still anxious about what she'd find. The building was in a nice neighborhood. Much nicer than her old one. Tree-lined streets. Parks nearby. Well-maintained buildings. They pulled up to a modern complex with a secure entrance and actual landscaping. This is it? Sarah asked, disbelief in her voice. This is it, Dante confirmed. Ground floor, so no stairs to climb with your arm. And there's a coded entry system. No one gets in unless residents let them in. He led them to apartment 1B. Used a key to open the door. And Sarah's breath caught. It was beautiful. The living room was spacious and bright, with new furniture already in place. The kitchen had modern appliances and granite countertops. 2 bedrooms, both larger than any room in her old place. And everything, furniture, dishes, linens, everything, was brand new. I don't understand, Sarah said. How? Your things are in the bedrooms, Dante explained. I had movers pack up your old apartment yesterday while you were in surgery. Everything you owned is here now. Plus some new items to fill in the gaps. If you don't like anything, just say so and we'll exchange it. Sarah walked through the apartment in a daze. The master bedroom had a queen bed with a memory foam mattress. The closet was walk-in and already held her clothes, organized by type. Emma's room was painted soft lavender. Her favorite color, somehow Dante knew, with a new bed, a desk for homework, and shelves already filled with books and toys. The books are new, Dante said. Maria said every 7-year-old needs a good library. Emma was already exploring, exclaiming over the books and the stuffed animals and the art supplies. Sarah came back to the living room, tears streaming down her face. "This is too much," she whispered. "I can't possibly." "You can. And you will. Sarah, listen to me." Dante gently turned her to face him. "You're a nurse. You save lives. You work double shifts to provide for your daughter. You didn't deserve what happened to you. Let me help. It costs me nothing and it means everything to you and Emma. Just say yes." Sarah looked around at the beautiful apartment. At Emma happily playing in her new room. At the life Dante was offering them. "Yes," she whispered. "Thank you. God, thank you so much." Dante smiled. "You're welcome. Now, there's one more thing." He pulled out an envelope. "This is a trust fund. For Emma's education. It's already funded and set up. When she's ready for college, the money will be there. You don't have to worry about it." Sarah's knees almost gave out. "Dante, I can't. It's done. Non-negotiable. Emma's smart. She deserves every opportunity. Consider it handled." Before Sarah could respond, there was a knock at the door. Marco stood there, holding 2 phones. "New phones," he explained. "Clean numbers. Pre-programmed with important contacts, hospital, Emma's school, Dr. Rossi, and us. Your old phones were disconnected. These are registered to a corporation, very hard to trace. In other words, Ryan would never be able to find them through their phone numbers." Sarah took the phones with shaking hands. "There's one more thing," Dante said. "I know you work at City General. And I know Fletcher knows you work there. So I've arranged a transfer. Memorial Hospital on the west side. Same position, same pay, but different location. No one at City General will have your new contact information or address. Fresh start." Sarah started crying in earnest now. "Why are you doing all this?" "Because you and Emma deserve better than what you had. And because I can. That's enough reason." Emma came running out of her room. "Mummy. Come see. There's a unicorn lamp." Sarah laughed through her tears and let Emma drag her to see the lamp. Dante and Marco stepped out into the hallway. "Everything secured?" Dante asked quietly. "Tight as Fort Knox. Building security knows to watch for Fletcher. If he shows up within a mile of here, we'll know. And the new jobs are set. Mitchell starts at Memorial next week, gives her time to heal. The principal at Emma's school knows about the situation, no details, just that there's a restraining order and to contact us if Fletcher shows up." "Good. What about Fletcher himself?" "Landed in Vegas yesterday. Got a job washing dishes at a casino. Hasn't left Nevada. I've got someone watching him, but he seems to be behaving. Keep watching. Men like him don't change their nature, they just wait for opportunity. You think he'll try something? Eventually. His type always does. They can't stand losing. But when he does, we'll be ready." Marco nodded. "And Morrison? She going to be a problem?" "She better not be. But keep an eye on her too. If she starts digging, I want to know." They were interrupted by Emma appearing in the doorway again. "Dante. Come see my room." Dante smiled. Duty calls. He spent the next hour being shown every detail of the apartment, admiring Emma's new things, and helping Sarah figure out where everything was. As the sun set, he finally said his goodbyes. "You have my number," he told Sarah at the door. "And Marco's. If you need anything at all, you call. Day or night. I will. Thank you, Dante. For everything. I don't know how I'll ever repay you. Live well. Raise Emma to be strong and kind. That's payment enough." Emma hugged his leg. "When can we visit you again?" "Whenever you want, little one. You have an open invitation to the mansion. Maria already said she wants to teach you to make her famous lasagna." "Really? Really? I'll call you this weekend to set it up." As he walked to his car, Dante felt something he hadn't felt in years. Contentment. Not happiness, exactly. His life was too complicated for simple happiness. But satisfaction. Knowing he'd made a real difference in two lives. Knowing that a little girl and her mother would sleep safely tonight because he'd acted. It was a good feeling. He just hoped it would last. Because in his experience, good things rarely did. 3 months passed. Emma settled into her new school. Made friends. Joined the school choir. Sarah healed. Started her new job at Memorial Hospital. Slowly stopped jumping at every unexpected sound. They visited Dante's mansion most Sundays. Emma and Maria became fast friends, cooking together in the kitchen. Sarah and Dante developed an easy friendship built on mutual respect and shared trauma. Ryan Fletcher stayed in Vegas. Marco's people watched him constantly. He'd tried calling Sarah's old number a few times the first month, but when it went straight to a "number disconnected" message, he'd stopped. He'd attempted to contact Sarah's old workplace once. The hospital had told him Sarah no longer worked there and they had no forwarding information. After that, he seemed to accept defeat. Or at least, that's what it looked like. Detective Kate Morrison kept her distance. She watched the situation from afar, but didn't interfere. Dante continued running his empire. Business as usual. And then, on a Tuesday evening in late autumn, Emma's new phone rang. She was doing homework at the kitchen table while Sarah made dinner. Emma answered without checking the caller ID. "Hello?" Heavy breathing on the other end. Then a voice Emma had hoped never to hear again. "Hello, Emma." "Ryan." Emma's blood turned to ice. Her hand started shaking so badly she almost dropped the phone. Sarah saw her expression and froze. "Emma? Who is it?" "Tell your mother I miss her," Ryan continued, his voice oily and wrong. "Tell her I know where you live now. Tell her I'm coming home soon." The line went dead. Emma's scream brought Sarah running. 5 minutes later, Dante's phone rang. Sarah's voice was shaking. "He called." Ryan called Emma. "He said he knows where we live. He said he's coming back." Dante went very, very still. "When?" "Just now. 2 minutes ago." "Dante, I'm scared." "He found us." "How did he find us?" "Lock your door. Don't let anyone in except me or Marco. I'm on my way." He hung up and turned to Marco. "Fletcher called Emma. Claims he knows where they are. Says he's coming back." Marco swore. "But he's in Vegas. We've had eyes on him the whole time. He hasn't left the state." "Then someone's helping him. Or he's bluffing. Either way, he just made a fatal mistake." "What do you need?" "Get our people to the apartment building. Full detail, around the clock. If Fletcher shows up within city limits, I want him brought to me. Alive. And if he's still in Vegas?" Dante's smile was cold. Then I'm going to Vegas. Dante arrived at Sarah and Emma's apartment within 20 minutes. Emma was crying. Sarah was pacing, her good arm wrapped around her daughter. Tell me exactly what he said, Dante instructed, kneeling in front of Emma. Between sobs, Emma repeated Ryan's words. I miss her. I know where you live. I'm coming home soon. Dante's jaw clenched. Okay. Did he say anything else? Any background noise? Emma thought. I heard music. And people talking. Like he was in a restaurant or something. Dante's phone was already dialing. Marco answered. I need that call traced. Emma's new phone, incoming call approximately 22 minutes ago. And check our eyes in Vegas, is Fletcher still there? A pause while Marco checked. Boss, this is weird. Our guy in Vegas says Fletcher clocked into his shift at the casino 45 minutes ago. He's currently washing dishes in the kitchen. Hasn't moved. Dante frowned. Then how did he call Emma? Maybe he gave the number to someone else. Had them make the call for him? Find out. In the meantime, trace that call. I want to know exactly where it came from. 10 minutes later, Marco called back. Boss, we've got a problem. The call came from a burner phone. Local area code. And the background noise Emma heard? We enhanced the audio. It wasn't a restaurant. What was it? The bus station. Downtown bus station, specifically. Someone was there 40 minutes ago, made that call, and then probably disappeared into a crowd. Fletcher's got an accomplice in the city. Looks like it. Dante looked at Sarah and Emma, both watching him with frightened eyes. Change of plans, he said. You're not staying here tonight. Or tomorrow. You're coming to my place until we find whoever made that call. But school, Sarah started. Can wait. Emma's safety is more important. Pack a bag. Both of you. We leave in 5 minutes. As Sarah rushed to pack, Dante called his head of security. I want every camera feed from the downtown bus station for the last 2 hours. Find me whoever made that call to this number. He rattled off Emma's new number. Use facial recognition if you have to. I want a name and location by morning. Then he called his lawyer. Pull Ryan Fletcher's complete file. Associates, family, friends, cellmates, everyone he's ever had contact with. Cross-reference with anyone currently in the city. I want a list of potential accomplices. Dante didn't just have resources. He had an entire organization dedicated to information gathering and problem solving. And right now, protecting Sarah and Emma was the biggest problem he had. Within 30 minutes, they were back at Dante's mansion. Maria had already prepared 2 rooms, the blue guest room for Emma, and a connecting suite for Sarah. You're safe here, Dante assured them as he showed them upstairs. This house has security that would make the White House jealous. Gates, cameras, armed guards, and a panic room if it comes to that. Nobody gets in unless I want them in. Emma clutched her stuffed unicorn from her room. What if he tries? Dante knelt down to her level. Then he'll have to go through me. And Emma? I promise you, he won't get through me. As Sarah got Emma ready for bed, Dante retreated to his office. Marco was already there with a laptop. We've got footage from the bus station. Tech team is running it through recognition now. Should have results in an hour. What about Fletcher's associates? Lawyer sent over the file. Most of his known contacts are either in prison or out of state. But there's one interesting name, Chad Morrison. Fletcher's cousin. Lives here in the city. Low-level dealer, mostly weed. Has a record. Dante's eyes narrowed. Morrison. Any relation to? No idea. Could be a coincidence. It's a common name. Check it anyway. And find Chad Morrison. I want to talk to him. Tonight. 2 hours later, Chad Morrison was sitting in a very uncomfortable chair in the basement of one of Dante's warehouses. He was 28, skinny, with the darting eyes of someone who'd spent his life looking over his shoulder. And he was terrified. Dante stood in front of him, still dressed in his suit, looking completely calm. Chad. That's your name, right? A nod. You're Ryan Fletcher's cousin. Another nod. Have you been in contact with Ryan recently? No, man, I swear. Haven't talked to him in like, a year. We ain't close. Dante held up his phone. Showed Chad the bus station footage. A skinny man in a hoodie, making a phone call. That you? Chad's face went white. Wrong answer. Dante's voice dropped to something dangerous. Let me explain something to you, Chad. That phone call was made to a 7-year-old girl. A girl who's already traumatized. You scared her. You made her cry. And I don't like people who make little girls cry. You understanding me so far? Chad nodded frantically. Good. So here's what's going to happen. You're going to tell me everything. Who asked you to make that call? What you were paid? What else you know? And if you lie to me even once, you're going to discover that I'm much worse than anything Ryan Fletcher ever told you about. Chad swallowed hard. Ryan. Ryan called me last week. Said he needed a favor. Said he'd pay me $500 to make one phone call from a burner, say what he told me to say, and then ditch the phone. What did he tell you to say? Chad repeated Ryan's words almost verbatim. Did he say why? Said he wanted to scare his ex, teach her a lesson for leaving him. I didn't know there was a kid involved, man, I swear. If I'd known. But you did it anyway. For $500. Yeah. I'm sorry. I'm really sorry. Dante studied him. Chad was weak. Greedy. But not actually malicious. Just stupid. What else did Ryan tell you? Nothing. Just to make the call and ditch the phone. He said he was gonna send more instructions later, but I haven't heard from him again. How were you supposed to contact him? Email. Encrypted email. He sent me the address. Dante turned to Marco. Get the IT team on that email account. Trace it. Find out where Ryan's accessing it from. Then back to Chad. Here's what's going to happen. You're going to send Ryan an email. You're going to tell him the call worked, the woman was scared, and you're ready for the next task. You're going to ask him what he wants you to do next. And then you're going to forward his response to Marco here. You understand? Chad nodded quickly. And Chad? If you warn Ryan that we're onto him, if you try to run, if you do anything except exactly what I told you, I'm going to be very disappointed. And when I'm disappointed, bad things happen to people. We clear? Crystal. I'll do exactly what you say. I promise. Dante pulled out his wallet. Extracted $500 in cash. Handed it to Chad. This is the money Ryan promised you.